Welcome to Introduction to Machine Learning. In this session we will be learning about how does machine learn. In these sessions we will be exploring what is data science, what is machine learning, types of machine learning algorithms, and we will also look at some general guide to regression analysis. We will also look at general guide to classification type of problems. Starting with what is data science and machine learning, as we have already discussed that data science is a skill circle of machine learning, some coding skills, some mathematical skills, and some business skills. So this basically involves machine learning, some communication skills, and some coding skills basically to encounter all of these problems. Now, communication is important because you cannot really sell anything without even being a good salesperson. You cannot sell a product without being a good salesperson. Even if your product is it's very good for the industry, but if you don't know how to sell that to a client to make them useful or make them more see the importance in that product, you cannot really make that big tech or whatever your intentions is to sell in the market. In data science, basically the target is business growth. That means basically you need to conversate your data into some form of visualization, some kind of algorithms, so that the predictions or output or the returns to the investors can be clearly seen. You need to give inference about the data in such a way that it looks more proven rather than just random words. And a general cycle of a data science requires getting the data from the source. It can be database, it can be a web scraping activity, it can be from Excel, it can be from CSV, some HDF5, which we will see that there are different formats of getting the data source. Performing some cleaning the data, some initial level of cleaning. Let's say sometimes whenever you try to get the data, the first row itself consists of the name of the columns. What we do is, in order to get that, we eliminate the first row and then get the all remaining columns without the first row that consists of the name of the columns. And then performing some EDA. Basically this step of second, cleaning the data, and EDA interchangeable, because some people do EDA first, then they do cleaning the data, because cleaning the data consists of a lot of things such as normalizations and imputing any values and etc. like that. EDA is basically a description of your data. Let's say what's the minimum value of that column, what's the maximum value, what's the mean, median, mode, count, etc. like that. And we will see in our next sessions, next chapters, what's the importance of mean, median, mode, and all those things. Is followed by choosing an appropriate model, because when you define some kind of data set, you need to show some kind of an equation. Then you have some algorithms, you need to apply that in the model itself. You have to check the model accuracy. Even though you have applied the algorithm, there'll definitely be errors, as we have seen in supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement type of general problem description. We have seen that even though you provide the best outcome, even if you give the best at the first instance, there will be some inaccuracies that are involved in that. You need to check model accuracy after applying some algorithms or data modeling. You need to generate the report that you will conversate, and finally you have to communicate the insights of the data to the investors or your target audience. We have already seen what is a machine learning and different types of machine learning, but in here I wanted to go a little step further and go into different learning methodologies that are used by machine learning, and which is like supervised learning. We have already seen that a supervised learning consists of feature column plus it has a label output. Supervised learning has basically two methods, which is first one is classification, second one is regression. Type of problem that you can expect in classification problem, which we will also discuss in later part of this lesson, is basically based on whether condition will a match take place or not, classify if a patient has a cancer or not. You can expect regression to be a kind of a problem where you need to find the age of an animal based on some fossil data sets. Could be like backtracking the age of the animal in the past and etc. like that. Finally, you have clustering problem, which is under the unsupervised learning algorithm, these do not have any kind of labels. You have just the features, you classify it or you group them together, and later on you put the label on those things. Let's say you have different objects in front of you and you don't know, and you are the first person, or you can consider yourself as an alien to this world. So whatever you can see in front of you, you will try to organize them based on their shape, color, or things like that. Later on, when you meet someone, a human on Earth, you can basically ask what label would you give to this particular thing. It is much like when you are excavating, or much like you are trying to explore in a forest, much like you are trying to explore how many species, different type of species are there in the world. So what you do is basically you try to get that species, try to monitor them, and then you classify them. This is based on this type of species in animal kingdom or things like that. Then you have reinforcement learning, where you have no clue of output rather than learn at every step, which we have seen it is nothing but more of a hit and trial kind of process. Starting with supervised learning algorithm, you can see on the right side of this, it's basically how the graph is converging towards the data set, and also how there is a classification based on in the bottom right of this slide. So regression and classification general method is choose a model, fit the model, and predict. You will encounter that you will use these three things continuously in your data science approach, and this thing basically of classification will also be same. The next is followed by your unsupervised learning, which you can see in the right side of this slide. It shows how the points that are cross mass are trying to converge with the amount of data sets. Now it's about the populations and what population together represent one output. So what general step would it be? Select any random data points, check the distance between every point, create the clusters, again find mean of the clusters, and then repeat the step 2. And then this is an iterative process, and also in later session you will find out you need to decide on minimum clusters that is possible. You basically have to start this type of problems or clustering type of problems specifically with some random assumptions, and then you convert that into minimum required clusters. The next type of learning is reinforcement learning. You can see how the game is learning from this mistakes, and you can see there are a lot of mistakes that they are making, which is not a part of a table tennis game, and they will definitely give a negative for doing such thing, and the system will learn, and for that they will be employing and improving that, which you cannot see actually here, but definitely that's the case with reinforcement learning. So what can we deduce from this is we basically learn from past, and if the learning was good, it is rewarded. If the learning was bad, then it's changed or it is punished. And this is much like your hide and seeks basically, which I've already given an example in previous lesson. Is like you starting out with how to seek for a hiders in when you play a game of hide and seek, and then when you are quite new to the game or to the people that you're playing with, you do not really assume what kind of people you can come across with. So what you do is you employ basic tricks of finding the hiders and use some basic things, but the hiders are quite interesting, and they try to learn how the seeker is basically behaving in the environment. The game becomes more hard and hard every step that they perform or how long they play for. For example, if you also remember that people also would hide back of your door where you're basically counting from 1 to 10. So this is how the seekers become intelligent or the hiders become intelligent. These hiders and seekers in the term of AI are nothing but your agents that learn from the past and update the system based on the requirement. We'll be using some different modules and packages in Python programming. So starting with the first scientific computing tools, we will be using pandas. It's basically used for data manipulation and analysis, and you will see that we will use pandas for importing the dataset. You can also use that for exporting to CSV file format and things like that. There are few data structures that are offered by pandas, namely series and data frame. apart from the data structures that is offered by Python, which is list, tuple, set, and dictionary. While series is just a column with multiple rows, data frame is a set of rows and columns. Pandas are used to perform the data frame, rows and column format in pandas manipulation basically. So you will be also using pandas for handling missing values, removing or adding columns, which is also called as headers, and also removing the data. We will be using NumPy basically. Python has list data structure for computation of heterogeneous operation, but it is not possible to perform batch operation on list, even though it contains all the integers. So Python has a module called array in which we can perform batch operation, but this array module is still in one-dimensional. But for data science tasks or multiple features that we are considering, we need multi-dimensional, for which we will be using NumPy array. We can use SciPy for advanced math problems such as integral differentiation, and also we can perform visualization using this library. We will use this wherever required, not necessarily in our data science path, but to some extent if we need that. We have some visualizations tools, Matplotlib, and both of them are good libraries or modules for representing your data in some chart format. Matplotlib is a tool that consists of line chart, histogram, and Seaborn is basically based on Matplotlib, but it is good for high-level visualizations such as Violin plot and heat map. We have tools for algorithm, which is your scikit-learn and stats model. We will be using for most of our tasks scikit-learn, but to some extent sometimes we might be using stats model just to have an exploratory, more detailed exploration of the data. This module or library, that is scikit-learn, is a de facto library to perform linear regression, clustering, and classification type of problems, while stats model is also a great library for estimating different statistical model, conducting statistical tests, and statistical data exploration. It is widely used among those who belong from statistic background. As per some reference, scikit-learn is more optimized for machine learning, although stats model do contain predictive modeling. Data analysis from our Stack Overflow activity showed that scikit-learn is more searched, or development has some development activity in terms of commits, branches, contributors, release, etc. like that, than the stats model. So now we come to a part where we will talk about some regression analysis. And whenever you try to perform any kind of regression, clustering, or classification, the first thing that you need to take care of is the data. Now data generally consists of feature column and a label. So this is what it comprises. A data what comprises is, and here your label is basically the output that you need to predict. It can be classification in terms of classification problem. Now when you want to predict an output, it could be a prediction based on within the data sets, or it could be a prediction which is outside the data points. So those predictions that we make out which is within the data sets or within the data points are called as interpolations, while those type of predictions which are basically outside the data points, the group of data points, if we call them as extrapolation type of problems. It makes regression analysis different from other is basically you predict a numerical output and nothing else. And there are some algorithms that are used in order to perform regression analysis, which is linear regression, polynomial regression, decision trees, k-nearest neighbors, random forest, boosted trees, Gaussian process regression, and nonlinear regressions. When you have an exponential graph, you basically employ nonlinear regression techniques in order to fit the curve to the data points and try to figure out the values or the equation parameters. Let's consider a standard problem type for regression analysis. Please note that this is only a general framework for how to tackle a regression analysis problems, and we will go in depth when we implement this through live coding, and there will be some steps that will be added then, and this doesn't depict complete end-to-end cycle, but it just gives you an overview of how to tackle the problem statement of regression analysis. Consider a prediction of selling price of a car based on several features. Now features could be like if it is a engine size, about a number of seats, mileage, and fuel consumption, and all those things like that. So these are basically nothing but your features, and what we are trying to predict is your selling price. This is what your label is, and there are different ways to get the data from. So we have from comma separated values, we have from Excel, we can get from PDF, we can get from URL, we can get from HDF5. Now these are nothing but your file formats. HDF5 is nothing but your file format for big data, and this is how the data set looks like when it is being imported. I've discussed already that we use pandas for importing the data sets, and this is what it looks like when you import the data set using read CSV, etc. like that. Moving forward, the next step would be exploratory data analysis, where we will find out what is the mean value, what is the median, what is the minimum value in each column, what is the maximum value of each column, find standard deviation basically, and find influencing features using scatter plot. Like this would be a part of some exploratory data analysis, and it also employs some kind of visualization also. We will know that how this mean, median and standard deviation are useful in our further lessons. The next step is about pre-processing the data sets. Firstly, it's all about cleaning the data. You can remove or replace null values. Sometimes you have duplicates value in the data sets, which I will show you when I will demonstrate you a non-linear type of problem that I've encountered in my research. And we have another pre-processing step, which is normalization. Now, it is nothing but when we have different columns, let's say salary column, age column. Salary would range from somewhere like say 10,000 euros or 10,000 rupees to 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees. The range on the unit of that is different, so the numbers, the integers are quite varying. But when it is about the age, the limit of it or the range starts from 0 and it ends somewhere around 80, 90, etc. like that. But these two things are important for, let's say, a problem wherein someone has to decide, a bank has to decide if the loan has to be given to this person, because you cannot give a person a loan who is of age 99, because he may at most of the time he may not have a good job, he may not have good health, so retrieving loan from him would be not possible. So these two feature column has to be something in a range which is from -1 to 1, and it should be comparable, which we will also talk in detail when to normalize and standardize things in our upcoming session. Then we have data formatting. Sometimes when you have, let's say, a column that is about the salary column, the salary column consists of rupees, the unit in between, or at start you have dollar sign or euro sign, etc. like that. When you consider that feature column, you cannot really perform any kind of analysis, and you will see that when we use that, it will convert that into object data type, and it's not really anything that you can perform on that. So what we do is we remove the rupees or any kind of dollar sign or anything like that, convert that string into pure integer, and then the whole series of that feature, that feature basically gets converted into relevant data format. And then we have data binning. You can understand binning is something like you have certain recycle bins. You have 3 types of recycle bins. Generally, you have one kind of recyclable waste, you have non-recyclable waste, and other is for anything extra. So what you do, all your data, all your garbage basically is nothing but your data. You can consider that in an analogy. You segregate them into bins so that they can be well classified. This is how your data binning in data science is. You have a raw data, and then you don't know what's the range, and so what you do, you create bins on your own. You create the bin frequency of your own, let's say 1 to 5 and 6 to 10, etc., and you start putting in the data for that. Consider an example where you have 24 hours in a day and you have a nearby park to your home residence. So you want to tackle out how many people visit, and you just have data of people visiting that park. So what you do is you provide bins. The bins range is basically of 1 hour. So what you have is starting from midnight 12 to 2 a.m. Then you have from 2 a.m. to 4 p.m. These sections are nothing but your bins, and then you start dropping in the value or the number of people that went during this duration, and this helps you make your chart or visualization more realistic, and you can actually view things very clearly. We don't have much to do on data cleaning process, and since we don't have duplicates, we don't have null values, so we will proceed on by doing anything in this. The next part comes in the choosing of model. So we can choose a simple linear regression if we consider only one feature, but since in our case it's multiple features that we need to consider, so we will work with multiple linear regression. And we could also use linear regression general, or we could also use non-linear regression depending upon the curve that you have. The next step followed by is training a model and testing a model, and the final step is all about predicting the output of that. Now once your prediction is over, everything is done, you need to evaluate your model, because it's a very crucial step, as you don't know if whatever you have trained is correct. Hence we need to perform some kind of model evaluation. Certain model evaluation parameters, which is, let's say, R-square score. It is nothing but your variation between the predicted and actual values, which is explained by the model itself. The next thing is root mean squared error. Mean difference between predicted and true values is squared, and then the square root is calculated. The larger the difference indicates greater variance in each error. Other parameters include mean absolute error, relative squared error, etc. like that. Here we're going to use R-square score, and you can see that the value of R-square score is pretty much okay now. And then the final thing is plotting or generating some graph to deliver what you have learned in the data set, and try to create a model of an equation, as you can see here in the bounding box, wherein you have the price of the selling car, where you have the price of the car, which is dependent on 39% on the car width, 44% in horsepower, then you have 27% based on luxury, 4% of hatchback, and then you have some standard minimum values which of the car price is. So basically try to find out the coefficient of each feature, and you can deduce that the luxury is 27% valuable to the output. The next type of problem we come across is classifications, and you know, this is like you're classifying things based on features, and the minimum thing is data. You get the data, you have features, you have labels, so you classify them based on features. Classifying, or you can also say classifying objects as small, big, etc. on sizes. And in here your size is nothing but your feature, while small and big is nothing but your output. Now it has label for every feature. If the target has two classes, it is called as binary classification, but if they have more than two classes, we have multi-class classifications. There are algorithms that are used for classification type of problems, starting with naive Bayes, which is, and then you have logistic regression, decision trees, k-nearest neighbors, support vector machines, random forest. Yes, random forest can also be used for classification. And we have boosted trees, which is GBM, XGBoost, LightGBM. And some standard problems that you can expect for classification is basically classification of type of flower, which is iris, we can consider, into target values, which is setosa, versicolor, or virginica, based on its features: sepal length, sepal width, petal width. Or you can also have problems such as based on weather data and event of the match, classify if the match is likely to take place or not, and classify if a person has COVID or not, or cancer or diabetes. Predict if an email is spam or not. And finally, classifying disease type and tissue type based on gene expression. Now let's consider a problem type and a solution for that. Let's consider predicting if a person has diabetes based on glucose level, insulin, and body mass index. Here your diabetes is nothing but your output class, while your glucose level is nothing but your features. Now you already know that getting the data is from different source. We have CSV text and other formats. So after getting the data, we have this data set that you can see on the slides itself. Again, the exploratory data analysis, we have done that. We have found out the minimum, the maximum, the mean, and 75% of the data, 50% of the data, and etc. like that. Then what we do is we try to pre-process the data. We basically convert zero values. As you can see, the minimum value in the exploratory data analysis column, there are some minimum zero values, which is not really possible. So what we do is we convert that into NA values and then perform fill NA with the help of pandas modules. Also normalize the data so that these columns or these features are comparable. And this fill NA basically is nothing but your imputation. And after normalizing the data, you can see the output is as shown in the slide. Now, next part is choosing a model. We could choose multi-class classification, we could use binary classification, and we could also use k-nearest neighbors as an algorithm. And you can use these algorithms based on several factors, which we will talk about in later sessions when we specifically focus on algorithms. Now, then you followed by training a model, testing a model. After testing a model, we found out that the accuracy of this model is around 76%, wherein the k value, by using k-nearest neighbor, we found out that 11 number of k. After testing the model, we were able to classify the output, which you can see in the slide also. Again, the most important thing here comes our performance evaluation. Confusion matrix is a table of predicted and actual values for different scenarios. For binary classification, a 2x2 grid confusion matrix can be used. As a general introduction about confusion matrix, it basically helps you determine how many values the model predicted 1 or 0 were actually correct and incorrect respectively. To define this, we use terms such as true positive and true negatives, which means predicted and actual both were correct and were 1 and 0 respectively. False positive and false negatives when both predicted and actual values are different. And you can see here in the slide which we have as a confusion matrix. Now we generate a classification report starting with your precision score. Precision score is nothing but total number of positives that are correctly identified, or out of predicted, how many are actually correct. And second thing is our recall score. It tells us how many did the model identify correctly. Our F1 score, it's basically a combination of precision and recall. And the final thing is our ROC, area under curve. And finally we have ROC AUC, which stands for received operator characteristic area under curve. It is a plot between two important metrics. First is recall, which is basically true positive, and its counterpart as true negative rate. This curve drawn at various threshold settings is a factor of determining how well are the classes being separable correctly. And you can see the output of this is basically your 82% roughly. And when we plot that, you can see the graph as shown in the slide. Let's summarize. Machine learning uses supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning methodology. Regression and classification is a type of supervised learning. Regression is to predict numerical output. Classification is to predict class. Clustering is a type of unsupervised learning. And some steps involved in regression and classification problem are data gathering, exploratory data analysis, data pre-processing, choose, train, test a model, predict or classify output based on the problem type, and perform some performance evaluation or model evaluation.